Okay, we are going live on this webinar. We are starting the broadcasting also on Instagram. Uh, yeah. Um, well, first of all, good morning and good afternoon to everybody. We are here with my special friend Christian Diaz, and we also got here with Shengan Shen, who is with us to talk about what's going on the mining industry, especially globally. We're going to talk about what's going on in the industry around the world. So, first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself to our attendees. So, Christian, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Christian Diaz. I'm the CEO for Equans Chile. We are a service company, a multi-technical company providing services to different industries. In these industries, we can mention, of course, the mining industry. Thanks,
Okay,
as always.
thank you, thank you very much, Christian, for being here with us. Shengan, how are you doing? Please introduce yourself.
Okay, sounds good. So my name is Shanken Chen. I work out here in Nevada, in Nevada gold mines. We're currently here mining gold. We got a few mines out here in North Nevada, and we're quite large in the world right now. We combine a lot of the mines facilities. I've been working out here for 4 years in different roles, from mine ops all the way to planning, and now more in a commercial role, selling the concentrate and the gold.
Very good.
One second.
What's going
I'm
on,
having
Hugo?
a technical issue here. Tengo problemas con el sonido. Uh, do you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes,
We can hear
yes,
you.
yes, and
Yeah.
we were listening the Schengen presentation. It's very nice
Okay.
experience
So,
regarding
Mhm.
mining. It will be very interesting to talk to him.
Of course, yeah.
yeah. Do you hear me? Okay. Shengan, can you please share with us which is the first topic that we are going to discuss? What's going on actually in the mining industry? How about the current situation, the context, and especially can we talk about the upcoming innovations on the field?
Of course, yeah. So in mining right now, a big focus is on big data, especially in the past 10 years with all the equipment having all these tracking devices on there. We're compiling a lot of data from the field. So if you look at things like shovels, drills, and trucks, we're collecting data real time. And more than ever, the data are becoming more important to the operations. So with all that data being collected, especially in open pit mines, it takes a professional to understand that data, be able to tell a story from it, and the better you can manipulate the data, the more you can help your operation by adding value. And the other thing that's very similar is in supply chain and finance as well. The data that they collect on the commodities that we buy, it's all being stored in large databases, and you can track all the way back a couple years. So one of the big trends is, how do we compile these data, understand it, either in real time, looking back every week, every month, and every year. So the data is becoming increasingly more important.
Wow, wow. So it sounds very, very interesting. Also, but because Schengen mentioned big data as the
Mhm.
first or as the main activity in the mining industry, it's very, very interesting. Uh, when you mention big data is in order to have real time information, Schengen. What will be the advantage for the industry regarding the big data or the real time information regarding services, regarding operations, regarding productivity, etc.? Could you please explain a little more?
Yeah, I can explain some more and give you some e- examples we have in my ops as well.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you're running a fleet of equipment during your shift, your trucks, your shovels, they're compiling data real time. You know exactly where the trucks are in real time throughout the shift. You know exactly how many tons you're being mined. and what your productivity is for the equipment. So for the shift foremans out there, they're trying to reach a target for mining. So in real time, you can say, the shelf is falling behind in ore. Why is that? So you can go into the data, figure out, is your haulage slower? Are the drivers slowing down? Is the shovel coming to a hard rock and it's unable to get a full scoop of it? So they can narrow down the cause of that. And then they can go out in the field and have a look, verify that it's a problem and then resolve it before the end of the shift. But historically, people rely on the foreman just driving around in the pit to figure out the issue. But now you can tell from the data and be able to correct it before the end of your shift, so it's not too late.
Well, also we were talking before with Schengen, and I think that everything that you mentioned is
Hmm.
a very important advance on the industry, right?
Right.
So I believe all of those variables that are going to be taken care from now on are very important issues that are going to be resulting on cost saving, time saving. But
Hmm.
my question is, Shengan, do you think all these new implementations and innovations are due to COVID, or this is proper to the industry evolving among the time? What do you think about that?
To me, I don't think it's due to COVID alone. I mean, it has been
We're going to talk about
evolving
COVID
before
as well. I'm
COVID,
sorry, Carl. We're going to
of
talk
course.
today about COVID.
But even before COVID, I mean, the industry is shifting a different way, and a lot of it's driven by the big techs in the world. Especially with autonomous vehicles being considered. In order for those to work, you have to gather the data, and slowly mining is adopting those as well over time. And just through trial and error at the mine sites, they're seeing value in it. And this is why you're increasingly seeing more mine sites giving it a try. And when it works, they're going to adopt it, right? And especially if you're seeing savings in cost, increasing in productivity,
Activity.
then there is a incentive to go through with it.
Okay.
And one more question regarding big data saving costs. Regarding employees, do you consider a reduction of employees, or no? Not related to the big data.
I don't think it's related to big data, but it's more related to autonomous equipment,
Okay.
like self-driving vehicles, um, remote drills. Those are going to have an impact on the workforce, but overall, it's a shift in the skill set. Instead of having somebody on the truck, you may have
Mm-hmm.
somebody in the control center to monitor and control many trucks at once. So it's a shift in skill set. Everybody is coming. You have to develop the skill set to be able to maintain them. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to analyze the data, and you have to be able to control the equipment remotely. So that's a completely different skill set. And it's not an immediate change. Say a mine, we're going to replace um, the entire fleet of trucks to autonomous. It's not going to happen in a year or two. It's going to be slowly over time.
Mm-hmm.
So at least that gives some time for the industry to adapt to it and get the skill set that we need out here.
Very, very interesting. I don't know if you remember, Hugo, when we were talking 1 month and a half ago regarding mining opportunities in Chile. We
Hmm.
mentioned one, it was training or competencies.
Hmm.
It's
Oh
very
yeah.
important that in that Schengen mentioned how to improve the competencies or the training of the people. No, will be very important in order to take this kind of new opportunities regarding automation or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing that we're doing out here in Nevada is, we realize there is a lack of skill set right now to maintain these equipment. And, we try to partner with the colleges around the mines. If people are going to study in the college, can we create a program so we can train them ahead of time and give them opportunities when they're going to school to be able to work at the mine as well, to to develop those skill set, and eventually those can turn into full-time jobs too.
Well, I also think that it's going to be a very important task from the HR side, Shengan,
Hmm.
because due to these changes that are happening on the mining industry, many of the skills that you currently have on the mining maybe not required. So you have to do the evaluation of if it's possible to train or to renew the professionals that you have on your team. So what about
Exactly.
that? How do you think that's going to be faced? So is it an issue for you right now, or you're just doing the evaluation at the moment?
You mean with respect to the new skill sets, how we're
Yeah.
training? Okay.
We were talking before about, if you remember the last time when we met, we were talking about the new vehicles that are going to be used, like with the AA implemented, they're going to be self-driving or and everything that. So no more drivers are going to be needed, but on the maintenance side, it's going to be another kind of professionals to be needed to do the work with those kind of vehicles. So what's going on with all these changes? What's going to be done on the industry? What do you think is going to be done? Is it going to be done some training, or you're going to renew the staff?
It's going to be training for sure because you're not going to get
Go.
the skill set you need right away out there. And what we've seen out there is a lot of the OEMs like Komatsu, Caterpillar, they have their training
Absolutely.
programs as well, and they're training the workforce. And when they bring their equipment to the mine sites out here, uh, they have programs for the employees at site to train them up as well. So it's coming from all sides of industry. So the vendor, the owner, the miners, they're trying to collaborate, right? And it's trying to shift the skill set in a different way. But it's not going to happen right away. It's going to be slowly over time for training.
Okay, for sure.
Mhm.
Um, What about I have a question I would like to ask you, Shengan.
Mhm.
I believe, and as we were talking before, that you have a lot of experience working on different mining industry, I mean, in
Mhm.
different mining companies. So, how about working in gold mines? What can you tell us a little bit about that? I believe it is one of the biggest mining companies in the world. So, what can you tell us about working in one of those companies, Shengan?
So for a gold mine, we're pretty specialized in one commodity, just in gold, and with some other commodities as well, but primarily in gold. But if you compare us to some of the more diversified mining folks out there, like BHP, Glencore, they're in all kinds of commodities, and commodity prices change all the time. If you
Hmm.
look at a few years ago, gold price was only at 12, 1300, and now it's well above 1700 for the last year or so. So that change really changes the bottom line for gold mining company like us. But the quicker it goes up, the quicker it falls too. So it's very tough for people to for companies to adapt to that change. And in the past, companies like us, we have been burned before by the lower gold prices. So we're taking an approach where we're very conservative in our planning. Our pit shells are planned at a lower price than current, so we know our margin is good. So even if the gold price drop over time, we're still mining a pit or a stope that's feasible. Whereas, a couple of years ago, or even 10 years ago, people were more aggressive in their production. So they would mine the ounces that would cost more money. Um, but other companies like Glencore, commodity prices do impact them, but they have other commodity that compensates as well. For example, if gold goes down, uh, likely gold is going to go up. So it does help with them being diversified. So you're spreading your risk across commodities. But with gold, we're fairly specialized.
Okay, very good. Christian.
Mhm.
It's very very interesting because this morning, listening the news in one of the most important radios in Chile, we
Uh-huh.
have to. They mentioned that for the next year, 2022, the commodities like copper or some could be go from 4.13 that is today to 3.5, and the fuel or petroleum will be increasing his value. What
Mhm.
is your expectation about that?
So, from my opinion,
Mm.
it's good to stay conservative. You want to mine the best ore in the ground, and you want to be able to mine that ore at any price in the next couple of years. So, having a rock solid plan and have a resource defined at a lower price, um, that that is the conservative way to approach it. But at the same time, you can't forget about the high price opportunities, because when the prices are high,
Mhm.
maybe you can mine some of the ore that would otherwise not be possible. So you want to take advantage of those in the short term. So it's really a balance between how do you make the most amount of cash flow in a good environment, but also be able to survive the long-term price trends. Because for almost every commodity out there, the prices go up and down. So you got to be able to go through all those, right? So it definitely is a challenge, and for a large company like us, we like to be on the conservative side, long term.
Wow, thank you.
Okay, so just one sec. Uh, let's jump into the next topic that we are going to discuss today. Wow, pretty cool animation. Huh? So, I love it. This Persian, the Persian is pretty good for me. So let's talk about COVID. In Chile, we to COVID, we mention it as COVID.
Mhm.
Latin
Yes.
way. It's no COVID. Talking about COVID, well, I haven't get it, and I hope to that keeping the same way in the future. So we were talking before. You mentioned to me that there's a difference, and it's before and after in the mining industry related to COVID. So can you tell us, please, Shengan, which do you think are the main topics or issues that changed on the mining industry before and after COVID?
Yeah, for sure. So for COVID, I think the primary change is the supply and demand for commodities. If you look at the copper, the gold, there is a big impact on those prices and supply and demand balance over time. I mean,
Agree.
if you're not able to import your commodities from overseas during COVID, you're going to have a shortage, and you have to compensate for that somehow. And that can be either through, producing more. You can you can process more scraps for the copper, different ways to combat it, but it does have an impact on the prices. But for a mining company, those prices have been positive so far, and it's been good for mining. I mean, the other impact that we're seeing is the shipments. Uh, as a mine, we're here in Nevada. We buy a lot of commodities and parts from overseas, and they're all
Mhm.
coming from the West Coast in the U.S. And if you look on the news, I mean, at the ports in California, the container ships are sitting there, waiting to be unloaded, and there is a huge queue. So that does have an impact for the mining in for the mines out here in Nevada, because we rely on those chemicals, those commodities to be able to continue to mine and mill our ore. So, of course, that has an impact on our production and delays.
Okay, so we're talking about supply and demand, supply
Mhm.
logistic, production, and also with the import that you do overseas, right? Christian, do you
Mhm.
have
Right.
any questions?
Yes, I have a question that is very, very important, I think, is regarding, you mentioned the shipment, and
Mhm.
regarding the transportation with the COVID or COVID, as we say in Chile. Do you have any kind of problem regarding deliveries on time for the different suppliers, or no? Do you have
We
problem with
do.
transportation? Yeah.
Exactly. So number one is the delay, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not getting the products as
On time.
frequently as before. And
Mm-hmm.
also some of the suppliers are increasing the cost because if the ship is sitting at the port, you're incurring the cost on the ship. So for a lot of suppliers, it's understandable that they want to spread that cost to their clients downstream of them. So for a mining company, that does have an impact on the bottom line.
And about that changes, Schengen, are them for the best, or it just due to the contingency of the what's going on with COVID? My question is, do you think that those changes are gonna be staying in the future in the mining industry, or it's just some temporary thing?
To be honest, I really don't know. I mean, if if I knew, I wouldn't be doing my job, right? But we have seen it before, freight prices going up, but in general, it comes down. But this time around, compared to before, it seems to be a slow climb. And you can tell, with the freight prices by shipping overseas, it's been a 45 going up in the past few months, and it's been steady. So, in my opinion, I think it's going to come down a similar way, unless there is a event in the world that's going to trigger and get everything unstuck at once. Um, I mean, if you saw the news this morning, I think Biden, he was helping the ports in California to run 24/7, so you can get more commodities through that port.
Oh,
So those are the things that I think are going to help over time. But I don't think I have a timeline in mind on when that's going to be resolved.
okay. I have one last question about this issue.
Mhm.
These changes that you were talking about regarding to supply chain, logistic, prices, and production, uh, did impact to the company on the kind of competences or skills required for the professionals. So the company should let some people go and renew the staff, considering that these new changes require new competences on the professionals on the mining side.
Out here in Nevada, we haven't seen the impact on the workforce at all. Um, I think within
You
our
didn't? I'm sorry.
company, we haven't. We did not.
You didn't. Okay.
Yeah, not that I have seen. I think, I mean, it's going to have an impact on cost, but at the same time, the commodity prices are fairly good right now. So I think those are going up in tandem too. So it's not been severe.
Hmm. Okay.
You know.
Good. Christian, any?
No, I have a question for Schengen. It's like just to know how do you know about the mining industry in Chile, Schengen? What is your vision about our industry here? It's very important to know.
Shenga,
Right.
he didn't know. Christian didn't know that you were in Chile before, but it's okay. You can go
Yeah.
ahead.
No. But today, when regarding the living in Nevada today, so regarding
Yeah.
the mining industry in US, is I think that will could be a little different than
Different.
our current in mining industry. But go ahead.
Yeah. But I think in Chile, you guys are a big copper producer out there, and the mine life seems to be quite long with some of the mines out at in Chile. But it's very similar in some ways because some of the same companies in Canada and the U.S. they work out there in Chile as well with the mines. Um, BHP is an example. They have a mine there, and Tech as well. So these companies are very similar overseas. And from what I've seen in Chile, the mines I've gone to, they're fairly remote, just like here in Nevada. That's how mines generally are. And the concept is very similar. So I think, if you look at the professionals in Canada, US, Chile,
Mhm.
it should be a very similar skill set.
Pretty good.
Oh,
So, I'm sorry, Christian, please. I'm sorry.
no. And regarding FTEs or full-time employees or contractors in US, how do you work?
I'm sorry.
regarding if you work with full-time employees or with
or
contractors
contractors.
in the different productions
It's a
areas.
mix of both. I mean, on the
Mix. Okay.
production side, we tend to hire full-time employees.
Okay.
But for contractors, we rely on them, especially for downs. The downtime that we incur on our mill, we bring a lot of people from outside the company to help us out during a couple of days or a week.
Perfect.
Okay. Uh, uh, we're going to jump into a next topic, which is let's talk about professional challenges.
Mhm.
Um, well, we were talking a little bit of this before on this live. So these new changes that we were talking about uh, generated new skill sets that are going to be required for companies. So about that, Shengan, what do you think about the new skills that are required for professionals in the mining industry?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the trends in mining. Number
Yeah,
one, the big data,
sure.
autonomous equipment. Those require people who can understand data, analyze them, and be able to tell a story. And number two, to repair those, to maintain those autonomous equipment, you need different skill sets in your maintenance workforce. So people going to college right now, it's a good time to learn those new skill sets so you can
Mhm.
apply them when you apply to these jobs. And what I like to say for professional that are working right now is always keep learning, even though you're not going to school. These skill set can be learned online through university classes, and those are good skill sets to develop.
Okay. Well, we were also talking before with Christian in a couple of webinars ago on this issue that it's very important for most of the mining professionals that to be continually learning about new things, new improvements on the
Right.
field, because it's a continually changing industry, and that I think is one of the responsibilities on one side on the professionals and in the other side the companies as well to do all the skill leveling on the professionals and
Hmm.
in order to be at the level of the needs that the business need. So basically we're not talking about any special skills required for the professional. I mean, basically in Chile and in Latin America, it was very important to have a lot of tolerance to depression. I mean,
Right.
so these new changes for sure impacted on everybody's kind of work, on how we do work, how we do things. So a lot of tolerance from professionals was needed. So um, Christian, do you have any questions about that?
I have a question. I have a question regarding professional challenge. I don't know, Schengen, if here in Chile we are having some problems in order to recruit people
All
for
right.
the different levels of expertise. Different levels of we are having a lot of problem in order to recruit and find professional people or trained people. Uh, and it's a challenge for the next years in Chile in order to grow with the mining industry. I don't know
Right.
if in your experience in Nevada or North America mining industry, do you have the same problem?
To me, what I've seen the past couple of years is the turnover can be quite high in some mines, and those can be a mix of a lot of things. It could be personal, a work-life balance, etc. So the turnover can be high, and we're continuously trying to hire as well. But if you look at Australia, for example, they have a
Hmm.
skill shortage in some fields, and what they're having to do is going overseas to hire those skill sets. And that's one thing that I've seen them done and has worked for them. And I mean, the other thing is, you have to consider what your workforce needs as well. Like, for example, the training. If somebody is working in mining
Hmm.
engineering, there is no reason you can't train them to do another job. For example, geotech. They, so a lot of these roles are very similar in some ways, and I think it's important for the company to develop people that are already there to be able to fill those roles. And that may be able to help to fill some of the gaps that you struggle to hire too.
Perfect.
Pretty good. So let's jump into the other. Do you have any other question, Christian? I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. It's okay.
Oh,
It
okay,
was
okay.
clear, clear. Perfect.
Pretty clear. Thank you for both of you. Okay, what about relocation to mining industry in USA,
Hmm.
especially for professionals who are not actually on the USA's? We are talking about Latin America professionals who are currently working in Chile or any other countries who may be looking to new opportunities on the USA, especially Nevada, which is a very big and important company. Maybe you know it, it's gold mines, Shanghai, right?
Right.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit? We were talking before also about this issue.
Mhm.
You tell me that there are actually current professionals from Chile working on Nevada.
Mhm.
So, what about the chances for professionals to move or relocate to be working on Nevada?
I have seen it done a few ways. Number one is one of my buddies out here. He came from Chile to study, so he was studying for his PhD at the University of Reno. And while he was studying, he was doing research in Nevada. There's a lot of mines out here, and he started to apply for jobs while he is still in school. That can lead into internships while you study, and eventually can lead into full-time opportunities. So that's one way to do it. Just come out here and study. Maybe you want to do your master at a university out here in Nevada. That can lead into something just being here.
Yeah.
And the other way that I've seen it done is some companies that have mines, both in North America and in South America, you may be able to transfer within the company. One, one instance that I saw before was at Tech. They had mines in Chile. At Tech, they had a program where they can send one of the brightest from Chile to Canada, and they, in exchange, they would send somebody from Canada to Chile.
Wow.
And there is a chance you can stay on in Canada for good, and that could be how you get into the U.S. and Canada.
Okay, so the first option is just going to United States,
Hmm.
especially in Nevada, and study something related to mining.
Hmm.
And well, obviously the possibilities to of getting a job doing that are very high. And the
Hmm.
other one is about exchanges. So
Exchanges within
Hmm.
companies.
within company,
Okay.
yeah, a company have. Well, okay, maybe there's a third option, which is in a relocating company specialized as potencia
Hmm.
laboral.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, so that's the best deal. Okay, and is there in your side, in your view, in your point of view, Shengan, what about the gaps for a professional who's a specialist to be working or has the he's usually working in Latin America in the mining industry, but in Latin America, but going to USA, what about the professional gaps, about the skill sets? What do you think about that?
I haven't seen much gap, to be honest. The
Yeah,
Chilean
great.
professionals that I've dealt with in the past, they're fairly good, sometimes even better.
Wow, great answer.
Yeah.
Christian, any questions?
Yeah, I have one more question regarding relocating or
Mhm.
relocation is regarding salaries. Here in Chile, for the mining industry, we have competitive salaries for the people in
Mhm.
the different levels or the different skills. What about
Right.
you?
We do as well. I mean, depends on which level you're at, your salary is going to change. But in general, gold mining, especially in Nevada, compared to the other industries, it's very competitive.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that attracts the professionals from all over the world to Nevada. It's the not only the career opportunity, but also the compensation as well.
But are we talking about Nevada versus the rest of the mining? companies on the USA, or Nevada versus the rest of the world, like
I
USA?
would say Nevada compared to the rest of the U.S. And it really depends on the commodity that you work in. I mean, some commodities are doing better than other. For example, gold. If you compare that to thermal coal, of course, the margins that the companies make are higher. So they're able to attract better workforce by increasing the salary, the compensation. So that's one of the ways they retain that talent.
Mhm.
Wow. Is there any estimated percentage of salary increase between working in Nevada and the rest of the USA? Just if you know the answer, Shenga, please don't
Hmm.
feel like interrogated or something like that.
No, I don't have a number in mind. But compared to some of the other roles that I've seen elsewhere in Nevada in mining, but in other commodities, it is quite a bit higher. But I don't know about the number in general.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
Well, I believe that working on the U.S. versus working on Chile should be also a difference, an important difference in salary,
Mhm.
uh, and which should be bigger if we compare working in Chile versus working in the mining field in Nevada. So then I will ask you to tell me where can I send my resume to apply to any kind of position that you may have out there. No, I'm fine here. Thank you. Well,
Remember the steps. First, you have to go to Nevada and study, and then
yeah,
could
I
be.
understand first. Yeah, yeah. Well, I like Nevada, Las Vegas. That's pretty much.
That's everybody thinks of.
Well, that took me to think why Las Vegas Casino is in Nevada. Sounds
To
weird.
be honest, I don't know. In Nevada, there's a lot of casinos everywhere.
Oh,
Not
why?
just there. It's a common thing. People have fun. I mean, they come in from all over the world, the rest of the states, just to have fun, and
Very
it
good.
brings in a lot of income for the state as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Okay, let's jump into the last section. We are gonna do a little bit of Q&A to the attendees. Here we had a question from Jose Barrios. It's in Spanish, but I'm gonna translate. So, it's important the lean manufacturing on the mining field. This question is focused on the skill sets on the professionals who are applying to be working in the mining field.
From my experience, I haven't seen too much focus put on that. Maybe in supply chain, other areas of mining, but not in my operations that I've seen.
Okay, so it's not very important to for a professional to be in the knowledge of lean manufacturing or have some kind of certifications, or it's not very important in the mining industry from your point of
Yeah,
view.
I mean, when it comes to the certification, there in the US, if you want to work at a mine operation, it's the requirement for certification is not very high. But for example, if you're going to Canada and if you're wanting to become a engineer, they usually like you to become a professional one, be certified for that. And of course, if you want to work in mining as an accountant, you want to have your accountant certificate. So it really depends on the role that you're in.
Okay, okay, very good. Thank you very much, Shengan. Christian, any questions?
No, no, no more question. I thanks to Shengan. It was very. He was very clear regarding this point. I don't know, Shengan, if you have a comment regarding mining industry, something to tell our people here, expectations. I don't know.
Well, something in general I like to say is the mining industry is very close knit. People that I worked with a few years ago are now working at the same mine as me. So it's a very small world. And one of the things that helped me out was networking. If you see somebody with a role that you want to be, say, in a year or a couple of years, you can reach out to them on LinkedIn. You can find almost everybody there and have a chat with them, learn about how they got there. People in general like to speak about themselves, so it's a good opportunity to learn and connect. And when
Mhm.
you start to get these opportunities, you start to build trust, and trust is what helps the employer to hire people, because it's very scary for the employers to hire for somebody they don't know. You can go through conversations, you can find out more about the person, but once you build that trust, everything becomes simpler and you get the opportunity.
So, if I'm getting the point right, you are saying that, well, here in Chile, people is not very used to have this kind of networking through the
Mhm.
Mhm.
they're not very likely to do that. So when we are talking about mining industry, do you think it's possible to get a job not just applying for the traditional ways like the portals or the recruitment team on the mining? So it should be also by networking, right, through LinkedIn. Is that
Networking,
possible?
definitely. Exactly. I mean, the most important thing is to build a relationship with hiring people. It's not just through recruitment. I mean, if you know somebody that works out here, you can start to learn about what they do, how they got there, and you can try to learn the same things. And it's good to have a mentor, and you can gain
Mhm.
those through networking. But networking is a good way, to find opportunities. I
Okay,
don't
so
know about in Chile, but in US and Canada, we have a lot of events. So one of my big thing is to attend those as much as I can. This is where you meet the people face to face as well, to make those connections.
you were also telling me before, Shenga, that COVID in Nevada is quite well in the sector that you are is basically gone, right?
Well, it's not gone. I mean, we're seeing spikes like everywhere else in the U.S., but we're fairly remote compared to the rest of the states. The mines are very spread out, and the communities are very small and spread out as well. So compared to a city, of course, we're going to be doing better than those areas, right? But I work here, we still have rules in place. We have to wear a mask in rooms with more than two people. When you're in vehicles, you got to be wearing a mask as well.
Hey,
Okay, Christian.
Mhm.
no, the same here. The same here. Just in Chile, the same regarding this kind of prevention. No, I just to finish from my side. Thank you, Shengan. I have 2 points, very interesting. One, big data. Second
Mhm.
one, networking. Very important for us. I
Mhm.
hope the second show of this, Hugo, you will be the responsibility.
Okay, it's important to mention as well that Schengen, he is actually also at the mentors team in Potencia Laboral.
Good.
So we contacted him before to invite him due to his experience and profile to be part of our team, and he gladly accepted to be part of our community. So if somebody wants to have an English mentor, in the mining industry besides Christian. I mean, also after Christian,
Mhm.
he may have a mentoring session with Schengen. I think he has a lot of experience to share. We knew him. He's a very good person as well, good professional. Well, Schengen, Christian, I would really like to thank you for being here with us. It was a very good chat. I really love it. It was very good, very important points that we were talking about. So, how to be meeting again sooner? Well, thank you.
For
Thanks
sure.
again, both of you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a nice day. Thanks,
Have a nice
everybody.
day. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
you too. Bye.